They stood in the hallway with their suitcases, laughter echoing against the walls of the apartment I had helped pay for. My mother-in-law adjusted her sunglasses like she was already on the beach. My sister-in-law snapped photos for social media, and my husband, my partner, the man who once promised me loyalty, looked at me with a smirk I had never seen before. "We're flying to the Maldives," my mother-in-law announced, as if she were granting a royal decree. "Only close family goes. You stay home." My sister-in-law giggled. "Yeah, only real relatives. Not losers." Then my husband delivered the final blow. "Don't make a scene. You're not coming. Just stay here." The door slammed. Their laughter faded down the staircase. And just like that, I was alone. At first, I didn't cry. I stood still, listening to the silence. The humiliation burned, but something else began to grow beneath it, clarity. For years, I had been the convenient one. The one who cooked the dinners, hosted the holidays, paid half the bills, and kept quiet when his family made their cutting jokes. I told myself it was temporary. That love required patience. That one day, they would accept me. But that morning, their words shattered every illusion. "Only close family, not you." The irony was almost laughable. Because the plane tickets they proudly flaunted, they were purchased from the joint account that I funded more than anyone else. My husband's business had struggled last year. Who covered the mortgage? I did. Who paid for his sister's university tuition when she forgot to apply for scholarships? I did. Who lent my mother-in-law money for her medical expenses that somehow turned into a new designer handbag? I did. And now I wasn't close enough to board a plane. I walked to the kitchen table and opened my laptop. I didn't scream. I didn't call them. I did something far more powerful. I checked the bank statements. The Maldives package was expensive. 5-star resort, private villa, ocean views. They had booked it under my husband's name. But the payment, it came from our shared savings. Shared. I smiled slowly, because what they didn't know was that I had quietly secured my own protection months ago. When I started noticing how easily my husband sided with his mother over me. When he dismissed my concerns. When he rolled his eyes at my ambitions. I had met with a lawyer, not out of spite, but caution. The apartment, registered in both our names. The car, mine. The majority of our savings, traceable to my salary deposits. In the legal consultation, very clear. If I chose to separate, I would not leave empty-handed. That day, while they posted filtered photos of turquoise water and captions about family first, I scheduled an appointment with my attorney. Not out of anger, out of self-respect. The first few days alone felt strange. The apartment was quiet, almost peaceful. I cooked what I wanted. I watched what I wanted. I slept without someone criticizing the way I folded blankets. And then the messages began. My sister-in-law sent a photo of herself in a white dress by the beach. "Wish you were here." Oh wait, my mother-in-law posted publicly, "Nothing is stronger than true family bonds." My husband sent one text, "Don't overreact. We'll talk when we're back." Overreact. To being publicly humiliated, excluded, insulted. No, I wasn't overreacting. I was evolving. By the time their tan lines deepened under the island sun, my paperwork was ready. I had opened a separate bank account. I transferred my salary. I documented expenses. I canceled shared subscriptions that I paid for. I even arranged a professional appraisal of the apartment. Preparation is quiet, revenge is loud, and I wasn't interested in revenge. I wanted freedom. The week passed quickly. When their taxi pulled up outside the building, I was sitting calmly at the dining table. A folder lay neatly in front of me. They entered with dramatic energy. "Oh, we missed you," my mother-in-law said, though her tone lacked sincerity. "You should have seen the water," my sister-in-law added. "Crystal clear. Not everyone can experience that kind of luxury." My husband walked in last, sunburned and careless. "You still upset?" I slid the folder toward him. "What's this?" "Reality," I replied. He opened it. His expression shifted as he skimmed the documents. Legal separation notice. Asset breakdown. Bank statements highlighting the Maldives transaction. "You're joking." "No." His mother leaned over his shoulder. "What is this nonsense?" "It's not nonsense," I said calmly. "It's boundaries." My husband looked stunned. "You're divorcing me over a trip." "I'm divorcing you over disrespect." Silence fell heavy in the room. For years, I had been the accommodating wife. The quiet daughter-in-law. The supportive sister-in-law. They mistook my kindness for weakness. Not anymore. My lawyer had done an excellent job outlining everything clearly. The apartment would likely be sold, profits divided according to documented contributions. The joint savings, split fairly. The Maldives payment, classified as mutual funds used for personal leisure without my consent. That one detail mattered more than they realized. "You can't do this," my mother-in-law hissed. "I already did." My husband ran a hand through his hair. "Let's talk privately. We can talk in court." For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. Power shifts quietly. The following weeks were tense. Negotiations began. His confidence from the beach faded quickly when confronted with legal paperwork and financial evidence. Suddenly, I was important. Suddenly, my contribution mattered. Funny how that works. He tried apologies, promises, even blamed his mother and sister. But accountability delayed as trust destroyed. In the end, the settlement favored fairness. The apartment was sold. I received a significant portion due to my documented payments. The car remained mine. The shared account was divided properly. I moved into a smaller place, not as luxurious, but entirely mine. And here's the twist they never expected. With my portion of the settlement, I booked my own trip. Not to prove a point. Not to post photos, but to celebrate independence. I chose a destination I had always dreamed of. A place peaceful and beautiful. When I walked along the shoreline alone, feeling the sand under my feet, I realized something powerful. Exclusion can be a gift. If they had taken me to the Maldives, maybe I would still be trying to earn their approval. Still shrinking myself to fit into their narrow definition of family. Instead, their cruelty gave me clarity. Sometimes people show you exactly where you stand in their lives. Believe them. My former mother-in-law still posts quotes about loyalty. My former sister-in-law still shares beach photos. My former husband, I heard his business struggles again. But that chapter is closed. The biggest lesson wasn't about money or vacations. It was about self-worth. Family is not defined by blood or marriage certificates. It's defined by respect. And the moment someone tells you that you're not close enough, listen carefully. Because the right response isn't begging to belong. It's building a life where you never have to ask for permission to feel valued. I used to think strength meant enduring humiliation quietly. Now I know strength means walking away with your dignity intact. They flew thousands of miles to sit on a beach without me. And in doing so, they unknowingly set me free. If you've ever been excluded, mocked, or made to feel small, remember this: your silence is not your only option. Your patience is not a requirement. Your value is not determined by someone else's invitation list. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's peaceful. It's signing your name on a new lease. It's transferring your money into an account only you control. It's waking up in a home where no one questions your worth. They thought leaving me behind would prove I didn't matter. Instead, it proved I mattered enough to walk away. And that made all the difference. When I closed the door behind them that evening, after the confrontation and the stunned silence, I felt something unexpected. Relief. Not because divorce is easy. Not because betrayal doesn't hurt. But because for the first time in years, I had chosen myself without asking for permission. Part 2 of my story didn't begin with revenge. It began with resistance, from them. The next morning, my husband started calling nonstop. When I didn't answer, he sent long messages. At first, they were defensive. "You're exaggerating. It was just a vacation. My mom didn't mean it." Then they shifted. "You know I love you. Let's fix this. I'll talk to them." But what he never said was, I was wrong. Accountability requires courage, and courage had never been his strength. 3 days later, my mother-in-law arrived at my apartment unannounced. She didn't knock gently. She pounded on the door like she owned the place. When I opened it, she walked in without waiting for an invitation. "How dare you embarrass our family?" she demanded. I remained calm. "You embarrassed me first." Her lips tightened. "It was a misunderstanding." "No," I said evenly. "It was a message, and I received it." She tried a different tactic: tears. "After everything we've done for you." That sentence almost made me laugh. Everything they'd done for me. Like criticizing my cooking. Like reminding me I wasn't good enough for their son. Like using my salary when convenient but excluding me when celebrating. I realized something powerful in that moment. People who benefit from your silence will always call your boundaries disrespect. "I'm not changing my mind," I told her gently. "This is between me and your son now." She left angry, muttering threats about lawyers and consequences. But she didn't understand one thing. I was no longer afraid of consequences. The legal process began formally. My husband tried to delay it at first. He requested mediation. He suggested we take a break, instead of finalizing things. He even proposed counseling. Where was this urgency when I stood in the hallway humiliated? Still, I agreed to mediation, not to reconcile, but to move forward efficiently. The mediator was calm, professional, neutral. She asked simple questions. Do you both want to save this marriage? My husband immediately said yes. I paused. No. The word echoed in the room like a final bell. He looked at me as if seeing a stranger. Maybe I was one. Over the next sessions, financial discussions dominated the conversation. He tried to minimize my contributions at first, suggesting that marriage is teamwork, and that dividing everything strictly by income was unfair. The mediator raised an eyebrow and asked for documentation. I had everything organized: bank transfers, salary slips, loan repayments, receipts for the tuition I paid for his sister. Facts don't argue. They simply exist. Slowly, the narrative shifted. He wasn't the generous provider. He wasn't the victim of my overreaction. He was a partner who had taken more than he gave, and assumed I would always accept less. Outside the legal rooms, life continued. Friends began calling. Some had seen the social media tension. Others heard rumors from his family. A few asked carefully, "Is it true?" "Yes," I replied, "it's true." To my surprise, most reactions weren't judgmental. They were supportive. One friend confessed something that stayed with me. "I always felt they didn't treat you right. But you never complained." I didn't complain because I believed enduring made me strong. But endurance without respect is self-betrayal. Weeks passed. The apartment sale moved forward. Strangers walked through what had once been my home, commenting on the lighting and kitchen space, unaware of the memories stitched into every corner. Packing was the hardest part. Not because I wanted to stay, but because every object carried a version of me that had tried so hard to make things work. I found old photographs from early in our marriage. We looked happy. Maybe we were, or maybe I was projecting hope onto potential. Love is not measured by how much you tolerate. That realization changed everything. My husband's attitude shifted again when he realized the settlement was inevitable. He became colder, shorter in conversation, almost resentful. "You're destroying everything," he said one evening when we met to sign preliminary documents. "No," I replied quietly. "I'm saving myself." He shook his head. "You'll regret this." Maybe he believed that. Maybe he needed to. But regret only follows decisions made out of fear. Mine was made out of clarity. The sale of the apartment finalized sooner than expected. When the funds were transferred, I felt the weight of transition. Not wealth, freedom. I moved into a modest but bright apartment across town. It wasn't grand. It didn't have ocean views or marble floors. But it had peace. I bought new curtains, rearranged furniture exactly how I liked, filled the fridge with food no one criticized, played music at night without anyone complaining it was too loud. The silence there wasn't heavy. It was healing. Meanwhile, his family struggled with the public narrative. Their friends began asking questions. Why was the apartment sold? Why had I moved out? Why were there no photos of us together anymore? Control of the story slipped from their hands. My sister-in-law, who once mocked me for staying home, sent a message unexpectedly. I didn't think it would go this far. I stared at the text for a long time before responding. Neither did I. She didn't apologize directly, but the tone had changed. The arrogance was gone. Consequences educate faster than lectures. As months passed, court dates became routine. Paperwork became normal, and emotionally, I began to feel lighter. I started focusing on things I had postponed for years. A professional certification course I once hesitated to enroll in. Weekend trips with friends. Even small joys like morning walks without checking anyone else's schedule. One evening, after a long day at work, I sat on my new balcony watching the sunset. The sky shifted from gold to deep violet, and I realized something unexpected. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger had fueled the first steps. But peace sustained the journey. The final court hearing arrived quietly. No dramatic speeches, no shouting, just signatures and official stamps. When the judge confirmed the divorce, I felt no dramatic wave of emotion. Just calm. Outside the courthouse, my ex-husband stood awkwardly, hands in his pockets. "So this is it," he said. "Yes." He hesitated. "I didn't think you'd actually leave." "That was the problem," I answered gently. He nodded slowly, as if finally understanding. People often underestimate the quiet ones. They assume patience equals permanence. But even the calmest person has a limit. After that day, contact became minimal. Necessary paperwork, occasional formal updates, nothing more. His mother never contacted me again. His sister occasionally viewed my social media stories, but never commented. Life moved forward, and then, one evening, I did something symbolic. I printed the Maldives photo they had once sent to mock me. The one with the turquoise water and the caption about, "True family bonds." I looked at it carefully. Then I tore it in half. Not out of bitterness, but closure. Because that trip, the one meant to exclude me, became the catalyst for my liberation. If they had treated me kindly, I might have stayed. If they had apologized sincerely, I might have forgiven. If he had defended me in that hallway instead of standing silent, I might have believed in us. But sometimes life reveals truth through cruelty. And truth, though painful, is a gift. Today, when people ask what happened, I don't tell the story with drama. I tell it with perspective. They flew to a paradise island believing I was the outsider. But paradise without respect is just scenery. Real happiness isn't about destinations. It's about dignity. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe love will come again, different, healthier, mutual. Maybe I'll remain happily independent. What I do know is this: I will never again beg to be included where I'm merely tolerated. I will never fund experiences that exclude me. I will never shrink myself to make insecure people comfortable. And if someone ever says, "Only close family goes," I will smile and answer, "Exactly. Because now, I understand something deeply. The right people won't make you prove your place at the table. They'll save you a seat without being asked. And if they don't, you build your own table." And that is how part 2 of my story ends, not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with ownership. They thought I was staying home. They didn't realize I was stepping into a life where no one could ever send me away again.